Hey there, everybody. How's it going today? Carpo, of course, coming at you from my backyard flower zone. For any of my subs who've been with me for a while, you might remember the winter before last, a tree came down in my backyard. Or was it last winter? Hell, I can't even remember now. Anyway, I decided to plant flowers around it and leave the tree fallen as a big log with the roots still intact, kind of in the ground, and so they're all behind that little hedge there, but it's pretty cool. It's growing around, and it's nice to come out in the backyard and just be able to sit somewhere. And I don't know, it's something I don't take for granted. I'm very grateful that I have a house, a home, and property. Sometimes I sit back and I think about so many people feel cheated, like they deserve more. And I just can't understand the mentality of that. I mean, I understand that we all deserve a little better sometimes than we get in the world, but that's usually by our own standards of what we believe we deserve. In other words, when we say, hey, why don't I ever catch a break? That can often mean that we're just maybe not getting rich quick enough, or there are certain circumstances where we really get screwed over, and like for example, bad luck is one of those things that people seem to attribute to their lives and to things that happen to them. I gotta say, I don't believe in bad luck. I believe in a bad streak. But I think that whenever something bad happens to us, it just means we need to learn a little bit more. And perhaps that's a naive, nostalgic view, thinking that the universe knows what it's doing, and everything will work out in the end type attitude. But sometimes we need to have that attitude to survive. If we step back and ask ourselves, what do we really want out of life? We'll often most of the time find that it's happiness. And the reason why we have values is ultimately because we want to be happy. So we learn how to treat ourselves, learn how to treat others, learn how to treat, the world, hopefully. Something as simple as this, my cat here, Callie, she's such a sweetheart, I just think there's people out there who abuse cats. There's people out there who torture cats. There's people out there that torture dogs. There's people out there that folks look up to, supposedly respectable people, famous people who have dog fights, that kind of stuff. It's just ludicrous to me. I think that it's this grunty human scumball side of us that wants to harm anyone, animals or people. I've found a lot of folks have very violent tendencies. So they say, well, I'd never hurt an animal, but humans suck. I'll beat the shit out of a human. They're very, they know that it's inappropriate to beat animals, but that they figure some humans deserve it. They can be the instant karma, And others are violent just because they've been abused, and often that's a pretty common core attribute. But bullies really suck. Bullies to anyone. A litter bug is a bully to the environment, if you will. It's like most people I've found, I don't have any interest in judging people for what they decide to do in life, as long as it doesn't affect the rest of us. For example, as stupid as it sounds, if you're living in a dorm room with 10 guys and one guy just never showers and he stinks, he's going to reek the whole place up, and then everybody has to suffer because of that one guy's choice to not be clean. It's not a big deal in normal circumstances. If somebody wants to be dirty, that's their life. But when you're affected by it, or people's drug habits, when they say it doesn't hurt anybody else, it's my choice, but the family is the one that has to go through the problem. And the family is the one who has to help to try to get everyone together to help these people, face the reality. And so, as humans, we're really just doing our best, I'm sure all of you out there are trying, because I know that I'm trying. I know that everyone I've met is trying. There are a few people who really aren't trying, but I think that even the worst seeming people, at first glance, really do have good intentions inside. And some of the decisions we make are based on our ignorance, so it's not our fault. We make bad decisions on voting. We make bad decisions on things that we buy or things that we do, places we go, things we consume, hobbies we take up, business opportunities that we just don't feel will work out, but we try it anyway, things like that. And everything we do in our lives is a learning lesson. It's no matter how negative it may seem at first, there's always something to be gained from it. And I really firmly believe that. If you're not seeing the positive in everything that happens, then you're not looking hard enough. It doesn't mean that everything has to be turned into some happy-go-lucky, Alice in Wonderland shit, where it's like, oh well, people die. It's more like, well, if a person died, then what is that bringing forward? What kind of movement or aggression towards that violence, or resistance towards that violence is it bringing forward? Are people protesting? Are people angry? Look at what's happening now. People have in my country here, this misdirected hostility. We've got, people have been killed by the police, and it's been happening more and more, but it's becoming more and more widely reported and socially shared, so people all get frustrated at the same time, and it's resulted in several police deaths. And some people may think, the cops deserve it, but we forget that we can't generalize an entire group of police. They're individual people. And while the citizens say, hey, it's not fair, we should have a trial before we're judged, well, so should every police officer, But people's aggressions get ahead of their reason, and they're too ignorant to deal with that reason and to develop a better way, a better outlet. It's very difficult to live in a world where it seems like a large portion of people are moving towards a more enlightened state of being, a better way of thinking that could benefit all people and the entire world, but that there are several generations, as well as, of every age group, stuck in these paradigms of thought that are totally not useful anymore. The old ways of thinking, that everything's just going to be all right, that we've just got to make our dollar, just get by, and we'll talk about the next generation, but fuck them, they're going to figure out, they'll know how to fix this problem. We face a lot of problems. When folks say global warming's the biggest problem, the reality is, maybe not. I think global warming's probably the biggest problem for some people, especially if you live in Miami or something. But, where I live is generally safe. Earthquakes may become a problem. Who knows? These are all things that could happen, may happen. The sea level rise probably will happen. But my point there is that there's only so much you can do in this world there's only so much energy you can put out to trying to better things around you. And then you have to dedicate so much of your time to, if you're a family person, let's say, you have to dedicate several hours every day to your kids, your wife, your family endeavors. And you have to also put in several hours each day into your business. And it leaves very little time for a person to go out and really, make a difference. So we have to find weekend days and time off to do volunteer work, or we have to pick up garbage at our local park, or do whatever we can. But I see that people are trying, is my point. I see that people do care, and that the world's not a scary place. at all. To me, I get up every morning and I don't know. I just try to embrace everything for what it is. I see my problems, I see my strengths and my weaknesses, and I see the things that I want to work on, and I see the things that I have worked on, and try to keep just a balance of emotion that doesn't allow me to get carried away in negativity, nor too much positivity, because eventually you always come down. Tea is delicious. It's like English black breakfast tea or something, but I usually drink coffee, and I was out of good coffee, so I decided to drink tea, and I'll tell you, it's delicious. I don't know why I don't drink it more often. Well, anyway, I'm glad I could come out here and make a video and share these things with the world for whatever it's worth. And I think that it's important that we all do these types of, I guess we all share these types of ideas in whatever way we can, whether we are better at writing, making videos, just talking with people, whatever it may be, to let people know that we can have a better future and that we don't respect negative values, that we don't respect stealing and lying and cheating, and lying's a big one. We get lied to all the time by politicians, whether they're leaders or musicians, rock stars, movie stars, all the people that people look up to, or people that are supposed to be ones that earn respect. They all make stupid mistakes and do dumb shit and lie and cheat, and then we say, well, they're just human. But sometimes you step back and say, well, so what? What does that mean, just human? Does that give us permission to do these things? Because I don't cheat and lie and steal, So there are a lot of good people out there that are really trying to make a difference, and I see that there's a positive aspect to this. And I refuse to allow the negative Nellies of the world ruin what I see as a potential for a beautiful future in this world, Because ultimately, no matter how much war and pestilence and famine we have, eventually things will calm down again and start over. And humans aren't likely to completely be destroyed. At this point, we can preserve ourselves for a pretty long time. So I would imagine that we would eventually reproduce and repopulate. But in the meantime, we would be able to hopefully get back to a simpler way of life, And I'd be a survivor. If the shit hit the fan, I'd definitely survive. I've prepared for it. When I first started uploading anything really to my channel, it was like 2011, I think, maybe. And I was talking about prepping, and my videos were about the best things to prepare for, a disaster. And I had so many, obsessions about getting certain things. I wanted to get this much dried food, and I wanted to get my ham radio, and I eventually got all these things that I wanted, minus a generator, one of the most important things I still don't have. But I have a huge, 50-gallon propane tank, and fixtures and hoses so I can hook it up and have a consistent stove, lanterns, all that stuff, wiring, and all the things I might need, as well as food. It's not like I have a whole lot, but the point being that I spent the time to do it because I really thought that in my lifetime everything was going to go downhill. And since that time, my wife got pregnant, and in 2000, it was before that, but in 2009 we had our now 6-year-old. But after I'd been a dad for a while, and I kind of asked myself a lot of questions after staying home a lot, and I realized that I'd read too much internet bullshit, as well as read too many books about the potential for the end of times, or a natural disaster going to wipe us out. And I realized, you know what? I'm not going to prepare for something I can't prepare for. It can't be prepared for down here. It has to be prepared for in here. Hey, kitty, don't knock that down. It's a completely mental preparation to realize that really you don't have to have anything, but having a little bit of food never hurts. But I don't like to talk about the prepping thing because, because people who are prepared tend to want to keep that to themselves and not have everybody show up at their doorstep wanting some grub. But I don't mind sharing. It's not like any of my friends are really gonna probably end up coming by if anything ever happened. But if they did, I would feed them because family and friends are the most important. And yeah. Anyway, don't know how I got into the prepping discussion, but what do you expect? Another rant. Anyhow, I'll talk to y'all on the flip side, and have a wonderful day. Take care.